Good morning. I wanted to kind of help finish out the rest of A Raisin in the Sun with you by recapping a little bit of the end of Act 2 and starting Act 3 with you. So, just to kind of remind you, at the end of Act 2, we have the younger family excitedly getting ready to move into their new house in Kleinborn Park. As they are packing, we see that there is a visitor, which is Mr. Linder. He is a white man from the welcoming committee from their new neighborhood. And he uses doublespeak. And doublespeak or double talk is basically him using polite words to try to get a message across in a roundabout way. So he's not being very blunt or clear about it. And he's basically asking them to not move into the neighborhood. It's a white neighborhood. He wants to keep it that way. He's being extremely racist. And he even offers to buy the house from them at profit because they want to keep it white. Now, this house is a dream of the younger family to live there. They have every right to live in that house, but he is asking them not to. Now, they do deny and they say, well, no, we're going to move in regardless. But again, that is something that's kind of tense. And the fact that they know the neighborhood they live in, they're not going to be the most welcome in, would be a stressful situation. As we go into that act, we also see that there's a man named Bobo at the door. And he gives some rather awful news. He says that somebody took off with the money. Now, just to clarify here, and let me kind of scroll up. Hold on. We have that Willie is somebody that went off with the money. So again, Walter was able to get the remaining part of the insurance check. $3,000 of it he was supposed to put in the bank for Benita's doctor schooling, and then the $3,500 he was allowed to use that to help him and his dreams. And for him, that was getting a liquor license, opening a liquor store. That was his dream, and he felt like he was more man of the house because he was now able to do that. So then we have Bobo, who is at the door, and he says, this is the end of the act. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I don't know. I waited 6 hours. I called his house, and I waited 6 hours, and I waited at the train station 6 hours. That was all the extra money I had in the world. And then he says, man, Willie is gone. Now, that might seem kind of confusing, but Willie is somebody that they entrusted their money with to help them with this business investment that Walter was investing in. As we keep reading, we're going to find out a little bit more, though, about what happens to the money. Walter goes, gone? What do you mean Willie is gone? Gone where? You mean he went by himself? You mean he went off to Springfield by himself to take care of getting the license? You mean maybe he didn't want too many people in the business down there? Willie got his own ways. Maybe he was late yesterday. So Walter's just questioning why Willie's not there. Maybe he's off doing something. And Bobo even says, what's the matter with you, Walter? When a cat takes off with your money, he don't leave you no road maps. So basically the person that they believed would kind of help them out, Willie, actually took off with their money. And not only did Willie take off with the $3,500 that was meant to be Walter's for the investment, but he took off with the $3,000 that was meant to be used for Benita's schooling that was supposed to go into the bank. So now all of that money is gone, and that's a big deal. And he's even more upset, too, because he knows that money was from his father. That was kind of like their one big break. And now it's all gone except for the little bit that they put down on the house. So obviously everyone is very devastated and very disappointed. And that's kind of how we leave at the end of this scene. Mama's even kind of like praying for help. And, everyone's extremely disappointed. So let's see what's going on then at the start of Act 3. Now, just a friendly reminder, this is a PDF. The new version of the PDF we found does have the same page numbers, but you may have to scroll down to see them. If you see like I'm scrolling, I kind of will show you your page numbers when you stop. So Act 3 starts on page 131. And this is still the same day they're getting ready to move, just an hour later after all of this happened. And notice these are stage directions. And one of your first comprehension question is going to be focusing on what type of mood is created here. And you'll notice it's a very dark mood. So let's look at some of the word choice here. So it says at curtain, there's a sullen light of gloom in the living room. Gray light, not unlike that which began the first scene of Act 1. And at left, we can see Walter within his room, alone with himself. He's stretched out on his bed, his shirt out and open, his arms up under his head. He does not smoke, He does not cry out. He merely lies there, looking up the ceiling, much as if he were alone in the world. So let's kind of backtrack here. So it's an hour later. There's a light of gloom. So that shows that it's a very dark mood. Think about what just happened. There's gray light. So it's not like a bright, positive light. It's gray, not very pleasant. And we even see Walter, and he's stretched out on the bed, not moving. So he is obviously pretty miserable. And that shows us this gloomy, dark mood. And think about it. If you would have experienced just what happened, would you maybe feel a little bit miserable? Now let's see how Beneatha is reacting in the stage direction. It says in the living room, Beneatha sits at the table, still surrounded by the now almost ominous packing crates. So ominous, kind of dark. It's gloomy now because packing and moving was so exciting earlier, and now we've had the issue with Mr. Linder, and then all the money is gone. So it's created a positive experience into something that's devastating. So she sits looking off, and we feel that there's a mood struck perhaps an hour before. And it lingers now for the empty sound of profound disappointment. So again, that's showing that ominous mood, profound disappointment. We see on the line from her brother's room the sameness of their attitude. Presently, the bell rings, and Beneatha rise without ambition or interest in answering. It is Asagai, smiling broadly, striding in the room with energy and happy expectation and conversation. So Beneatha and Walter are both very miserable and very distraught over what happened. And as you know, we're getting ready to move, and they're kind of saying to themselves, we have a Asagai coming. And so just a friendly reminder, Asagai was one of the guys that she was kind of dating. He's the one that is very big on Nigerian culture. He's the one who brought her that headdress. He wants her to stay true to her roots. So that's who this is. So Asagai is going to kind of actually give us a little bit more information about the theme as I keep looking. So Asagai says, I came over. I had some free time. I thought I might help with the packing. I like the look of packing crates. A household in preparation for a journey. It depresses some people, but for me, it's another feeling. Something full of the flow of life. Do you understand? Movement and progress. It makes me think of Africa. So Asagai is a very optimistic character. He sees that, yes, there might be some struggle and issues with moving. I mean, think about it. If you've ever moved, yeah, there might be struggles, but with that comes growth, and it's a new opportunity. So he's seeing all of this as a positive overall outcome. And he is comparing it to even what's going on with Africa. Beneath Africa, Asagai, what kind of mood is this? Have I told you how deeply you move me? And beneath it goes, he gave away the money, Asagai. Who gave away what money? The insurance money. My brother gave it away. Gave it away? He made an investment with a man even Travis wouldn't have trusted with his worn out marbles. And it's gone? Gone. I'm very sorry. And you now? Me? Me? I'm nothing. Me? When I was very small, we used to take our sleds out in the wintertime, and the only hills we had were the ice-covered stone steps of some houses down the street. And we used to fill them in the snow and make them smooth and slide down them all day. And it was very dangerous, far too steep. And soon enough, one day, a kid named Rufus came down too fast and hit the sidewalk, and we saw his face just split open right there in front of us. And I remember standing there, looking at his bloody open face, thinking that was the end of Rufus. But the ambulance came, and they took him to the hospital, and they fixed the broken bones, and they sewed it all up. And the next time I saw Rufus, he just had a little line down the middle of his face. And I never got over that. So again, Beneatha just told Asagai what happened, that the money's gone. And then she all of a sudden goes into a story. And anytime a character all of a sudden goes into a random story, there really is a reason for that. This is kind of like a memory moment, like a flashback. And she's going into a story where somebody basically almost dies, or, at least has a horrible accident here. And they come back from the doctor, and all of a sudden, they're fine. Now, why would she tell this? And Asagai goes, what? And Beneatha says, that was what one person can do for another. Fix him up. Sew up the problem. Make him all right again. That was the most marvelous thing in the world. I wanted to do that. I always thought it was the one concrete thing in the world that a human being could do. Fix up the sick, and make them whole again. That was truly being God. You wanted to be God? No, I wanted to cure. It used to be so important to me. I wanted to cure. It used to matter. I used to care. I mean, about people and how their bodies hurt. And you stopped caring? Yes, I think so. Why? So she's telling that story to kind of think about why she was a doctor. She saw that one experience of someone hurt very badly and how they were able to help someone else. And that's what she wanted to do. And now she's very disappointed and is very pessimistic because of what happened to the money and thinks that she's not able to do that. So a Sagai is going to have a different perspective and continue to talk to her about it. And so he's asked her why she stopped caring. Because it doesn't seem deep enough, close enough to what ails mankind. It was a child's way of seeing things, or an idealist. A Sagai, children see things very well sometimes, and an idealist even better. So just to kind of backtrack here, she's saying that at the time, I really wanted to help people out. I was being idealistic. And to be idealistic is basically saying I thought that I could make all this change and be the difference in the world. And now she's saying, that's just not reality. And he says, sometimes children see things, even though this seems childish, sometimes children can see things. Sometimes you can be that change in the world. When you have all these big dreams, sometimes some of them can come true. And it's not all naive or immature. Being a doctor, helping people is something that anyone could try to do if that's what they want to do. So Beneatha, though, is still kind of down on herself, and she says, I know what you think, because you're still where I left off. You're with your talks and dreams about Africa. You still think you can patch up the world, cure the great sore of colonialism, with the penicillin of independence. And Asagai goes, yes, independence, and then what? What about all the crooks and thieves and just plain idiots who will come into power and steal and plunder the same as before? Only now they'll be black, and do it in the name of the new independence. What about them? This will be the problem for another time. First, we must get there. And where does it end? Who even spoke of an end? To life? To living? An end to misery, to stupidity. Don't you see there isn't any real progress, Sagai? There's only one large circle that we march in, around and around. Each of us with a little picture in front of us, our own little mirage that we think is the future. So she's trying to put people who have dreams, because she's so heartbroken right now, down. She's trying to say that Asagai's dream is independence for Nigeria, for his country. And she's trying to say that, that's stupidity and that that's not going to happen. Or if it does happen, just other bad things are going to happen. And Asagai is saying, no, okay, that's a mistake. And she says, what? Well, you just said about the circle. It isn't a circle. It's just simply a long line, as in geometry. One that reaches into infinity. And because we cannot see the end, we also cannot see how it changes. And it's very odd, but those who see the changes, who dream, who will not give up, are called idealist. And those who only see the circle, we call them realist. So this is kind of deep. So kind of let me backtrack here. She is saying that it's just a cycle and that you're going to try to do something and then something worse is going to keep happening. And he's saying, and that's kind of a realist. And he's saying, sometimes it is good to be an idealist and realize that as you're kind of going in a line and you're making progress, yeah, maybe sometimes you have to stop. Maybe you have a setback in your dream, for instance, but that doesn't mean that you're starting all over again. It just means that maybe you have to stop and press pause for a moment. But you're still making that progress on whatever your dream is. Maybe your dream is you want to be a mechanic. Well, as you go through your schooling and whatnot, you are making progress for that dream. And, for instance, going into online schooling and kind of this is sometimes, a hurdle that you have to get through. Maybe you're struggling a little bit with your grades. It doesn't mean that you're starting all over from square one. You can take a moment, pause, get the help that you need, and keep continuing on in your journey. But you're still making progress. It's not all scratched away. And that's what he's trying to say here. And that's more idealistic. But that can be a good thing. So Beneatha goes, Asagai, while I was sleeping in that bed in there, people went out and took the future right out of my hands. And nobody asked me. Nobody consulted me. They just went out and changed my life. So she's talking about what happened with the money for her schooling. And Asagai goes, was it your money? What? Was it your money he gave away? It belonged to all of us. But did you earn it? Would you have had it all if your father had not died? No. Then there isn't something wrong in a house, in a world where all the dreams, good and bad, must depend on the death of the man. I never thought to see you like this, Aileo. Your brother made a mistake, and you were grateful to him so that now you can give up the ailing human race on account of it? You talk about what good is a struggle, what good is anything? Where are we going, and why are we even bothering? So he's saying that money is something that was a gift. You might not have even had it if your father wouldn't have passed away. Is just losing that money enough to give up on your dreams completely? Is a setback in your dream enough to just give it up? No, keep going. And she says, and you cannot answer it. And he says, I live the answer. In my village at home, it is the exceptional man who can read a newspaper, whoever sees a book at all. I will go home, and much of what I will have to say will seem strange to the people of my village. But I will teach and work, and things will happen slowly and swiftly. At times, it'll seem that nothing changes at all. And then again, the sudden dramatic events which make history leap into the future. And then quiet again. Retrogression even. Guns, murders, revolution. Even I will have moments when I wonder if the quiet was not better than all this death and hatred. But I will look around my village, and that illiteracy and diseases and ignorance, and I will no longer long. And perhaps I will be a great man. Perhaps I will hold on to the substance of truth, and found out that my ways always were the right course, and perhaps for it, I'll be butchered in my bed some night by the servants of my empire. She goes the martyr. Or perhaps I shall live to be a very old man, respected and esteemed at my new nation, and perhaps I shall hold office, and this is what I'm trying to tell you, Leo. Perhaps the thing I believe now for my country will be wrong and outmoded, and I will not understand and do terrible things to have things my way or merely to keep my power. Don't you see that there will be young men and women, not British soldiers then, but my own black countrymen to step out of the shadows some evening and slit my useless throat? Don't you think that we've always been there, that we always will be, and that such a thing as my own death will be in advance? Those who might kill me actually replenish all what I was. So basically he's saying that yes, there is going to be setbacks, and maybe something isn't going to go out as planned, but still you can still make that progress and impact on another life. Even if things don't end the way that you want them to, you can still impact others. And she goes, oh, Slug, I know all that. Good, then stop moaning and groaning and tell me what you plan to do. I have a bit of a suggestion. What? That when this is all over, that you come home with me. Oh, it's that guy. At the moment you decide to be romantic. My dear young creature of the New World, I don't mean across the city. I mean across the ocean, home to Africa. To Africa? Yes, 300 years later, the African prince rose up out of the seas and swept the maiden back across the Middle Passage over where her ancestors had come. To Nigeria? Nigeria and home. I will share you our mountains and our stars and give you cool drinks from gourds and teach you the old songs and the ways of our people. And in time, we will pretend that you have been away for a day. Say that you'll come. He swings her around and takes her full in his arms and a kiss which proceeds to passion. You're getting me all mixed up. Why? Too many things have happened today. I must sit down and think. I don't know what I feel about anything right this minute. So he is actually even offering to marry her and take her to Nigeria. And she's thinking about that offer. But again, if she takes up that offer, she might also lose the opportunity to finish going to school to be a doctor. So that's going to be something she has to think about. So she promptly sits down and props her chin on her fist. All right, I shall leave you. Now don't get up. Just sit here a while and then never be afraid to sit a while and think. He goes to the door and looks at her. How often I've looked at you and said, so this is what the New World had finally wrought. He exits and Beneatha sits on alone. Presently, Walter enters from her room and starts to rummage through some things, feverishly looking for something. She looks up and turns to a seat. Beneatha, hissingly. She's still upset. Yes, just look at what the New World had wrought. Just look. She gestures with bitter disgust. There he is, Monsieur le Petit Bourgeois Noir himself. There he is, a symbol of a rising class, entrepreneur, titan of the system. So here she's actually using French, and she's basically still very bitter, and she's mocking him and saying, symbol of the rising class. There you are. You had these big dreams. You wanted to move up. Look at kind of where you're at now. And Walter ignores her completely and continues frantically and destructively looking for something and hurling things to floors and tearing things out of their place in his search. Beneatha ignores the eccentricity of his actions as goes on with a monologue of insult. Did you dream of yachts on Lake Michigan, brother? Did you see yourself on that great day sitting down at the conference table, surrounded by all of his mighty bald-headed man in America? All halted, breathlessly waiting for your pronouncements on industry, waiting for you, chairman of the board. Walter finds what he's looking for, a small piece of white paper, and pushes it in his pocket, and puts on his coat and rushes out without even having looked at her. She shouts at him, I look at you and I see the final triumph of stupidity in the world. The door slams and she returns to just sitting again, and Ruth comes quickly out of Mama's room. So here, Walter is looking for something, a piece of paper, and beneath it is just insulting him because she's still so upset about what happened with the money. And so Ruth, his wife, is kind of asking what's going on. Who was that? Your husband. Where did he go? Who knows? Maybe he has an appointment at US Steel. So now Beneath is just being sarcastic and is still just making jabs at him. You didn't say nothing bad to him, did you? Say anything bad to him? No, I told him he was a sweet boy and full of dreams and everything is strictly peachy keen, as the afar kids say. And so Beneatha is being very sarcastic still. Obviously, she did say things bad to him. Mama enters the bedroom. She is lost, vague, trying to catch hold, to make some sense of the former command of the world, but it still eludes her. A sense of waste overwhelms her gait, and a measure of apology rides on her shoulders. She goes to her plant, which has remained on the table, looks at it, picks it up, and takes it to the windowsill, and sits it outside. And she stands and looks at it in a long moment. Then she closes the window, straightens her body with effort, and turns around to her children. Now, let me remind you that when Mama is looking at this plant, that plant is symbolizing her care for the family. So anytime that you see that, it's showing how much she cares for her family. And right now, she's really worried about what is kind of going on. Not only are they maybe losing out on all these opportunities, but there's conflict between them. Well, ain't it a mess in here, though? A false cheerfulness and a beginning of something. I guess we all better stop moping around and get some work done. All this unpacking and everything we got to do. Ruth raises her head slowly in response to the sense of the line. Beneatha, in similar manner, turns very slowly to look at Mother. One of you all better call the moving people and tell them not to come. Tell them not to come? Of course not, baby. Ain't no need to charging all that way here and having to go back. They charge for that, too. Lord, ever since I was a little girl, I always remember people saying, Lena Elgison, you aim too high all the time. You need to slow down and see life a little more like it is. Just slow down some. That's what they always used to say at home. Lord, that Lena Elgison is a high-minded thing. She'll get her due one day. So now Mama's saying that they shouldn't have the moving company come and that they're just going to stay there in their very small, cramped house and not go to the new home. And she's saying, thinking back to her past about how everyone said that she had these big dreams and that she shouldn't have even dreamed them and that she would be disappointed someday. And again, dreams are really important. It's our dreams and what we wish to accomplish that can kind of keep us going sometimes. And so now she's regretting that because of everything that's happened. No, Lena. Me and Big Walter just never did learn it right. Lena, no. We gotta go. Benny, tell her. She raises and crosses to Beneatha with her arms outstretched, and Beneatha doesn't respond. Tell her we all can still move. They ain't nothing but $125 a month. We got 4 grown people in the house. We can work. Just aim too high all the time. Lena, I'll work. I'll work 20 hours a day in all the kitchens in Chicago. I'll strap my baby on my back if I have to and scrub all the floors in America and move all the sheets in America if I have to. But we gotta move. We gotta get out of here. Mama reaches out and absently pats Ruth's hand. No, I see things differently now. Been thinking about some of the things we could do to fix this place up some. I seen a secondhand bureau over on Maxwell Street just the other day. That could fit right there. So now Mama is feeling like she wants to give up hope on their dream. And she's just going to try to just not aim as high and kind of just stick with where they're at. I'm going to have you read the rest of this scene. You will see that Mr. Linder is actually going to make another appearance, and pay attention to Walter's reaction because he's going to kind of represent what we should do with the dream. And he will kind of, we will see Travis come about, and he's going to symbolize something important to Walter that kind of is going to help him with his opinion. We're also going to kind of see what happens with the rest of the characters. So again, please feel free to email questions. You still just have a couple more pages left, not too much more. And again, email if you need anything. All right, guys, we miss you very much. If you are watching the video, the code word is glitter. So if you send us an email saying the code word is glitter, and that kind of shows us that you are watching this video, we will be able to get you a couple of participation points on your assignment. All right, guys, see you later. Please feel free to email us.